On this episode of Latinas, we'll celebrate our mommies before Mother's Day, meet a Latina who converted to Islam, hear about one woman's visit back to Puerto Rico after this year's devastating earthquakes, and so much more. Welcome to Latinas, the show that's all about nuestras mujeres in the Latinx community. I'm Tinabeth Piña. Today, as you may notice, I'm coming to you from my childhood home in Easton, Pennsylvania, as I stay with my mom during this pandemic we're all experiencing. I'd be lying if I didn't say that I was a little scared, but I'm also very hopeful that we'll come through this together. It's also been very interesting to see how Latinas in particular are trying to make a difference during this crisis, and we'll learn more about some of them throughout the show. We'll also be celebrating our moms because Mother's Day is just around the corner. But first, did you know that there are 250,000 Latino Muslims in the US and over 4 million Muslims in Latin America? Well, Elena Romero met with one Latina Muslim to find out why so many are converting to that faith.
Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim.
While Shanoa Matos, a Brooklyn Nuyorican, grew up Catholic, she admits she was never a practicing Christian in the same way she is a devoted Muslim today.
Growing up, I was Catholic, pretty much by default. I went to church, I did my communion, my baptism, pretty much all that for the sake of my grandmother, in order to keep up with, with cultural appearances.
A friendship with a Muslim family in her 20s introduced Matos to Islam. Seeing them fast and in prayer set her onto a year-long spiritual journey of inquiry and discovery.
The reason why I converted to Islam was because I felt the truth in having a complete direct connection with God, that there was no intermediary, there was no pastor, there was no one that can talk to God in my place, and there was no one that was higher than me in my relationship with God.
Declaring her new faith, also known as Shahada, Matos learned Arabic in order to read the Quran and say her 5 daily prayers.
Allahu Ahad, Allahu Samad.
She began wearing modest clothing and eventually embraced the hijab. Her family was very supportive through it all.
When I first converted, I kept it pretty much to myself, and I started revealing it little by little to my mom. One day, I was in my grandmother's house. I asked my abuelita, I was like, "Grandma, can I go into your room? I need to do something." She said, "Of course." I went into my room and I started praying. I was in the middle of that, and she walks in on me. And that was, the day that I said, if my grandmother's good with it, I could go forward.
What draws Latinos to the Muslim faith?
I think people see that sort of attempt to be connected to your family, which is a very, huge in the Latino community, of course, as something that they're drawn to. Other people are drawn to, the aspects of prayer.
Matos found her Muslim Latino community online and attended the North Hudson Educational Islamic Center in Union City, New Jersey.
So I went, and that's where I met, people from Puerto Rico, Ecuador, Mexico, Brazil. I mean, it was just everywhere. And the Latino Muslim Day was created from that mosque because that mosque sits right in the heart of a huge Latino community, and they were seeing a lot of Latinos converting, and they needed something to be able to provide some context for their families so that the family members wouldn't think that these people who converted into this new religion that they were so scared of because the media portrays it in such a scary way, they needed something to be able to demystify Islam for them.
Allahu Akbar.
A practicing Muslim for over 20 years, Matos is happily married to another Boricua Muslim convert she met while attending grad school at City College. They've been married for 14 years and have 3 children.
What is it that you would like people to know about your faith?
I want people to know that my faith is pretty much a very simple way of life. There's nothing scary about it. And I know that that's a hard one to digest, especially with all the stories that you see online. I'm a Muslim before I'm a mother, before I'm a woman, before I'm Latina. I'm a Muslim before all of that.
For Latinas, I'm Elena Romero.
Forbes magazine named designer Raul Peñaranda one of the fastest growing fashion entrepreneurs in the US. His luxury designs have a mix of seduction and sophistication, which of course come from his Latin roots and some advice from his mommy. Let's take a look.
That kid that was born in Cali, Colombia, was always a dreamer. It was that kid that never had limits, that has the amazing gift to come with a beautiful family. And there was a kid that he was never afraid to say what he wanted. And since he was a kid, he used to tell his mom, she's a seamstress, that he was going to be one of the biggest power fashion house for the next generation. My name is Raul Peñaranda. I'm a Colombo, Venezuelan designer established in New York City. I define myself not as a designer, but as a storyteller. As an artist, an emotion is what drives me to create beautiful pieces. Everything has to have an emotion. And we can even create like a plain white t-shirt, but if that t-shirt is gonna tell a story, the story is what's going to connect with the customer. I started working for Donna Karan. They never believed in me, but my designs made the top of each collection. After that, I moved to Tommy Hilfiger when I was the sketcher for Tommy Hilfiger. Right after Tommy Hilfiger, I got my dream job working for Oscar de la Renta, for the Oscar line, and then for collection. Then I did a collaboration with the amazing Zach Posen. I learned the good, I learned the bad, and I took just what I needed to become myself. I never thought of me being a minority to be something negative of when I wanted to be. Of course, you get to New York, and I knew from day one, and I heard for so many, critics, horrible message that got into my heart, but they never broke my spirit. Wasn't easy, but I think that I tell everybody's like, be you, because right now, in this time, minorities, we're trendsetters. Raul is celebrating 20 collections uninterrupted. My 10-year presenting in the official calendar of Fashion Week. And I said, hold on, we have to celebrate Colombia. So I started thinking about my palanqueras from Cartagena, las chicas from La Feria de Cali, which is where I come from. Something called kind of like chontaduros y la mazamorra. And let me tell you, when I transformed that with exquisite fabrics, with amazing craftsmanship, and it's time for me to present it to the editors of all the magazines, it was almost kind of like me breaking barriers. I'm always going to be an eternal student. And in the past, I'm always felt as if I have to prove something. I don't know to who, but it was kind of like me trying to make a noise, trying to be noticeable by editors. There is a point with this last collection that I get up in the morning and that feeling wasn't there anymore. I feel almost like I did my homework. I put my heart, I put my soul, and it's something that brings me the most joy, but it comes with a lot of pain. So I just feel that I show who was Raul Peñaranda, and finally I claim a spot among the top designers.
Raul is also part of the hashtag Designers Fighting Coronavirus and is well on his way to creating masks for doctors, patients, and children. These Latina-led initiatives are helping moms and dads with homeschooling during the coronavirus. Encantos Media is offering free digital learning resources for parents called Encantos Learning Hub, with lesson plans, activities, and videos. Con Todo Press is offering free digital copies of their Latina-themed children's books on Amazon, as well as free downloadable coloring pages and history lessons. Like everywhere else in the U.S., Puerto Rico is also trying to get through the pandemic we're currently experiencing, while also recovering from the earthquakes that shook the island earlier this year. Plus, don't forget Puerto Rico is still recovering from the devastating effects of Hurricane Maria. One CUNY employee from Hunter's Center for Puerto Rican Studies shared with me her journey back to her severely damaged hometown in Puerto Rico.
For a very long time, I would have to explain to people, yes, I'm from Guayanilla, and people would not even know where Guayanilla was. And people even from the island, I would have to go to a map and point out my town. And all I kept thinking is, I guess I don't ever have to do that again.
Rosa Cruz is the Outreach and Partnership Manager at CUNY's Center for Puerto Rican Studies, also known as CENTRO. She's also a native of Guayanilla, Puerto Rico, the city at the epicenter of the devastating earthquakes that have been rocking Puerto Rico since earlier this year.
January 7th, I received a phone call from my father. He was crying on the phone, and he was telling me all this destruction. And specifically, he tells me our church is gone. There was nothing left. It was 4 walls standing and very little left. And in my house, that's very important because my father was very involved in the church. My aunt was a nun. So, the church is very important in my family.
The Puerto Rican diaspora is also very important to Rosa and Centro, and one of the organizations that can help rebuild Rosa's church, as well as other hard-hit areas, is Comité Noviembre, a nonprofit that Centro has partnered with, which organized the Estoy con Puerto Rico initiative, a Puerto Rico earthquake relief effort.
I've been a member of Comité Noviembre for the past 3 years. As soon as the earthquake hit, we talked and we said, we need to do something. And so we started the fundraising campaign because we realized that it's really hard to bring materials down to Puerto Rico and all the costs involved in bringing these supplies and donations that people want to give. I really think it's going to be different when I see it for myself. I have been trying to prepare myself for that.
Nothing could really prepare Rosa for when she first arrived in her beloved hometown. She was visibly stunned by the damage. After acclimating herself to what she was seeing, Rosa and the team at Centro got to work and organized the donated items.
We brought everything that we brought from New York in the heavy suitcases, and we put them out into bins to make it easier for the doctor to be able to have access to exactly what she needs.
Rosa also stopped to see her church and made time to visit family and friends so she could assess their living conditions for herself.
We shouldn't be in this home, people. They've been told by the military that the house needs to be completely demolished. A beautiful 2-story house where 5 members of the family live. And now the question is, what are they going to do next?
Rosa told me that her family will have to rebuild, like several other families in damaged neighborhoods. Rosa returned to New York in early March, right before the U.S. onset of the coronavirus, and shared with me what she had just witnessed in Puerto Rico.
How did you feel about going back?
I knew what to expect. I had seen photos. My family had sent photos. So we drove in and we saw all the destruction. We first saw the church that my family has attended forever. Then we drove closer to the house where we saw streets blocked because it was impossible to pass with the bricks and the debris in the middle of the street. So it was very sad going into the town. I'm happy that I'm able to be part, even if in the smallest way, of the recovery and the rebuilding.
What can Puerto Ricans teach the world about resiliency, especially in the face of the pandemic we're experiencing right now?
I always knew the Puerto Ricans were resilient. I know my family. I know how resilient Puerto Ricans can be. But at this point, financial crisis, viruses before this virus, 2 hurricanes, and an earthquake. And here they are still moving forward saying, we will rebuild. We are not leaving home. And that is very inspiring.
Moms, we all have them, but Latina moms really have unique ways to show their love. Our mommies and their chancletas are what we're talking about on today's Caliente Caliente.
So the best thing about having a Latina mom for me is just that fierce love. I think Latina moms have this love for their kids that it's palpable and you feel it. And no matter what age you are, no matter what you're going through, your mommy is there.
What I really love is how, for some reason, out of that love, they figure out how to cure anything.
Oh my God, yes.
Latina moms are amazing at curing anything. You know, either with a tececito or a jarabe, el Vicks. I think to this day, if I have anything, she'll call me and she'd be like, did you try Vicks? Did you guys grow up with el cuco?
Oh my goodness, yes.
Oh my gosh.
I did. El cuco in the closet.
Yeah. Who would think of disciplining their kids with the threat of like a boogeyman?
Right.
But it worked.
It worked, oh yes. You know, and it's funny because I can relate now having a 7-year-old son, because we use Santa Claus more now to get him to do things the right way. But then I'm like, you know, they all have it easy right now because I had a cuco back then. That was so scary. Like I was, you know, scared.
Traumatized.
Traumatized, exactly.
I don't know about you, but I feel like the chancleta is a staple of Dominican culture.
The thing about that chancleta was that it was almost as if it had a motor to it. You know, like it would follow you. You could run to a different room and for some reason that chancleta, you would turn around and it would be there.
Oh, yes.
I don't know how they did it. This is before drones, you know?
Exactly.
The chancleta was always around.
The drone chancleta, oh my God.
I couldn't open up the fridge if my hair was wet. Because it would like cause something called a pasmo, I think it was, where like your face would get stuck in a certain position.
Yes.
Right, that also applies to when you're ironing or doing something when you're really warm and then you go open something cold.
So I feel that one thing that Latina moms do is they're not afraid to discipline you regardless of where you are. It doesn't matter who's there, whether your friends are there, whether the family's there. If they have something to say to you because you're acting up, they will tell you. No problem, no issue. They will give you that look, they will take you to the side, they will tell you what's going on.
That look is,
does that look work with your kids?
it does.
It does? Okay.
Latina moms are really, I feel that are really amazing about preserving ritual, culture, family. Family is so huge, and I think that it's because Latina moms really make it the center of everything. You know, and as a result, we all feel more safe. We all feel more comfortable, and we're able to be ourselves because we have that from them.
To our mommies and their strength.
Their resilience.
Everything they taught us.
Yes, yes.
So we pass it down to our kids.
Yes.
Selena Quintanilla Perez was an American singer and songwriter known as the Queen of Tejano music. Her contributions to music and fashion made her one of the most celebrated Mexican-American entertainers of the late 20th century. In 1994, she was the first female Tejano artist to win a Grammy Award for Best Mexican-American Album. And unfortunately, in 1995, she was shot and killed by her former fan club manager. Her posthumous collaboration with MAC Cosmetics became the best-selling celebrity collection in cosmetics history. And in honor of the late singer's legacy, a second collection will debut this month, which would have been the singer's 49th birthday. To date, Selena has sold over 90 million albums worldwide, making her one of the best-selling female artists in Latin music history. Selena is today's Badass Latina.
Every New York City neighborhood has a story to tell. In the book Dominicana, author Angie Cruz takes us inside 1960s Washington Heights. Her novel about a young woman's journey from the Dominican Republic to the U.S. is inspired by her mother's life. Carol Ann Riddell has that story.
So this corner is kind of the corner where the book takes place, right here. In many ways, life has come full circle for author Angie Cruz, born and raised right here in Washington Heights, and now with a novel inspired by her own mother's journey from the Dominican Republic to this corner of New York City. We sat down with her at Word Up Community Bookshop for a chat.
Your book is Dominicana. I really, really enjoyed it. Just give us a sense of how the story unfolds. Well, the book is set in 1965. It's about a 15-year-old who is married to a man twice her age. Her name is Ana, married by her mother, who believed that the marriage would get the entire family to the US eventually. As you know, this book is inspired by my mother. Mm-hmm. My mother, like the character Ana, was married by my grandmother when she was 15 years old, and this was the passport to the entire family to come to the United States.
So what was your mom's reaction to you writing a book that was inspired by her life?
She would say, why do you want to write this story? This story's so boring. It happens to everyone. Like, it's not so typical. And I said, yeah, but no one's writing about it, right? Like, it's underrepresented in literature.
Yes.
I was really relieved when she read the book. Yeah. And she said to me, I feel like when I read the book, there were memories in there that I didn't have, but that rang so true. And she was really, really happy. She felt seen. I think the things that feel like home to me, when I go into my mother's house and I see the coffee percolating, right? Or, you know, she says, I'll make you breakfast and it's plátanos and, you know, scrambled eggs. That to me feels very much like part of the culture that she created for us, where no matter what happens, we will take care of each other. Mm-hmm. I grew up in the culture of my mother, in the culture of my family, where if something had to get done, we would do it. We didn't wait for anyone to do it for us. So when I was a child, my mother would make me get up in the middle of the night when no one was looking and paint over the graffiti on the hallways of our building and the elevator and change the light bulbs. You know.
So in the public areas of the building, yes. Not in your apartment.
Yeah, she said, I live in this building. I want us to live in a good building, in a nice building. It's our responsibility.
Do you have advice for, you know, other young women, young Latina women who might want to be writers, who might want to break into that, and how to kind of stick with it?
You know, it took me a very long time to sell this book, so I feel like resilience and faith in your own story is incredibly important.
Angie, thanks so much. I really enjoyed meeting you.
Thank you. This was fun.
Colombian immigrant Luisa Mendoza is revolutionizing the way tourism, sports, and entertainment are marketed and monetized. And that's why she's today's Latina on the rise.
I knew since I was a little girl that I was an entrepreneur, because this is actually my third time being an entrepreneur, believe it or not. The first time, I was 5 years old.
When businesswoman Luisa Mendoza was 5, she went door to door selling her own dolls and books so she could buy her mom a Mother's Day gift. And then at 14, she sold candy at her high school so she could have a quinceañera, since her parents couldn't afford to do so.
I've saved $5,000 to help pay for my Sweet 15. I knew that if I was successful at 4 or 5, I knew if I was successful at 14 that I had those elements you need to start a business, and so here I am.
La Colombiana is now the founder and CEO of GTSE, a global tourism and sports entertainment company that bridges the gap between national professional sports teams and U.S. travel destinations.
How easy would it be, like how amazing. I want to book my flight, I want to book my hotel, I want to book a few attractions. There's the Brooklyn Nets, the New York Knicks, the Yankees, any team that I'm going to visit, I can buy that ticket just as easily. Sports is something that resonates with any culture that you go to. Going to Real Madrid and seeing them play soccer, or coming to the US and seeing a football game, a basketball game, a baseball game. And if you get to do that for the very first time when you come with your family, like these are memories that you will never forget.
According to the U.S. Travel Association, about 24% of international visitors want to see a sporting event when visiting the United States. And Luisa is the first Latina to start a company that will allow international visitors to do so easily.
You have a family that comes from China and they go to LA and they see the Lakers and they have the best time of their lives. Guess what's going to happen the next time they go to Orlando or the next time they go to New York? They're going to say, let's go see an NBA game. And that applies for every single sport.
Although the company is in its infancy, she already has her first client, the Brooklyn Nets.
Had it not been for the Brooklyn Nets, I would not be here right now telling you that I'm starting, that I have started a tourism and sports and entertainment company. And now that they became my first client, my heart is filled with so much gratitude because they're really putting to action what they are saying, which is they believe in diversity, they believe in minority-owned businesses, working with them. And so the fact that they helped me launch, forever thankful.
The former little girl from Colombia who sold her dolls and candy is also very proud.
Today I take care of my mom and my dad. You know, I take care of my parents, and I have a little girl who's 10 years old. And so for me, failure was never an option. It's almost like an obligation that I have towards my family. I have to succeed. Like, just how bad I wanted to buy my mom that gift, or just as bad as I wanted that Sweet 15. Like, everything I do is because I want to leave a legacy for my family. Yeah, I feel extremely proud and just blessed to be fulfilling my dream.
And that's our show for today. For more information on what you just saw, check out our website at tv.cuny.edu and follow our social media profiles. We love sharing our Latina stories with you. And please make sure you tune in next month, where we'll meet the only female master cigar blender in the nation, talk about Latinas in healthy relationships, and so much more. Make sure you watch. Stay safe and stay healthy. Hasta la próxima. Bye-bye.